Hello everybody, I'm back. Thank you for indulging me. I feel it so necessary to document and to continue to spread the word, what we have learned about ourselves, about the story of the great divine mother. Advanced mythology, which is advanced science, thanks to our great teacher, Bobby Hemmett. I can't tell you how much I appreciate him, and I'm sure that others of you do too. You know, were it not for him and all that he has taught us, that I am able on every day and every night to study over and over and learn something new each time, something that helps me get through every day, understanding what has happened and what is likely to happen, and that would not be possible were it not for his dedication and his work. So I'm eternally grateful to him. I hope I can do justice to the story of the Divine Mother as I have continued to learn more details, and I'll include those today, hopefully not confusing anybody, but of course stimulating further study on your own. You know, we go through life being educated, and it wasn't until after most of us in college began to learn about Kemet. But even all those years ago, up until today, so much is coming forward. And it's so great to see yourself, you know, the great Divine Mother. And what we have learned, and we've been sharing a little bit of it online and on Instagram back when I was on Facebook. But I wanted to share more about that mythology where the Divine Mother was tricked and taken out of power. This all has to do with the fall of matriarchy and the incoming patriarchy headed by Idaldabroth. I've been spelling that incorrectly too. I've been using an A-D-O-L-D-O-B-R-O-T-H, but I believe it's Y-D-O-L-D-A-B-R-O-T-H, Idaldabroth. And this is a lower demiurge entity who seized power and whom the Divine Mother had to trick into giving us the little bit of light that we do have. It was that decision that she made, and then later Prometheus stealing fire from Zeus and giving it to humans, that it has lain dormant in the base of our spine as Kundalini, and it is reawakening now. You know, I've done a few teachings about Prometheus, not even really understanding the connection to the Divine Mother. So that's why I'm here again today, hopefully adding further and clearing up any confusion that might be out there. So we want to be ever thankful to the Great Mother and to Prometheus. There was also a part of the story where she had to, again, trick Idaldabroth. Let me grab my notes here. Let's see. And of course, he basically was responsible for patriarchy, which seems to be almost a hatred of the divine feminine principle. And that has landed this world in the horrible state that it is in now. The oppression of women, the lack of nurturing on the planet, this incessant logical thinking without recognizing our intuitive spiritual abilities, which in those of us whose Kundalini is awakening is emerging, becoming enhanced, and developing further and further. And it is Idaldabroth who is responsible for the Jesus entity. In fact, it was Idaldabroth who realized when we had just that little bit of light, we lived in Atlantis that we created. And I guess after he found out about it, he stormed in there And we heard all kinds of stories about what happened to Atlantis when it fell. But now we know that it was Adaldebrod who influenced the priests and others there, which resulted in a war, a catastrophic war that destroyed Atlantis. So that's great information to know. And now, and further than that, we learn that the Commetans, the Egyptians, were all about getting into the underworld. All the things that they did were always all about that. They even used to embalm and mummify the bodies. And they did that because they would trick whatever entities that might be there, since their mummified bodies would be available, but they could still somehow get over and escape back to the underworld. You know, I may not be exactly clear on that story, but you can look into that as well. We also spoke briefly about the fact that they wore the animal heads. Some part of that process after life into the underworld allowed them to put on those faces so that they could trick that entity that guarded the gates there, always again wanting to make it back home. Okay, so I find that interesting, and I love that part of the story. Adaldebrod is an entity that has caused all of us to love life. You know, everything is all about loving life. Everything goes against ending your life and suicide. But we are learning that that too was deception. Now, of course, that's not suggesting that anybody going in their life. It is not about that at all. It is just knowing the truth. Okay? I got a call coming in. I'm not going to reach up there and even decline it because it might disconnect this presentation. I guess it'll just go away. In fact, Atlantis was the last Sirius on Earth. Of course, we all see ourselves as being from Sirius B. We know that Mama Nebthet is over Sirius C, the white dwarf Sirius C. I think I used to just like saying Dark Star. So without studying further back then, I attributed Dark Star Sirius B to Mama Nebthet, but she is Dark Star Sirius C. Okay? So that's an interesting story about the Great Mother. You know, as much as we go through, and I'm going to touch on some of those Kundalini signs and symptoms and bodily sensations, but as much as we have to go through, as difficult as that is, you know, knowing that our great divine mother, Newt, loves us. She never wanted us entrapped here, and she is there for us, and she is re-emerging. And there is comfort in that, and it helps to remind ourselves of that when times seem rough. I've been talking to a lot of people privately, and everybody is feeling pretty much the same thing, a tiresomeness with living every day here. And so learning the information is helpful to us. But as far as Kundalini, first of all, drinking a lot of water. It's so important to loosen up packets and pockets of melanin within the body to help us develop spiritually. Ever since the beginning of my Kundalini awakening, you know, I was back then so excited knowing something amazing had happened without really knowing all that entailed. I'm going to pause that Bobby Hemmett that happened to come on. As a matter of fact, his presentation, What If God We Serve Was a Devil? One of the best presentations out there. I would happen to be watching it before I had to run to the grocery store. But anyway, back to Kundalini. You know, you're happy, you think it's all going to be great. You don't know what a threat that presents to the establishment, to status quo, to patriarchy. So you have no clue that you're about to go through something treacherous, awful, and yet amazing. And so I have mentioned to you all that for years I wouldn't even utter Shiva's name. I wouldn't chant that mantra because at that time my life was falling apart, every little aspect of it, and it was terrifying. That and the ravens, and then out-of-body experiences and other things that happen once that Kundalini awakens. And so I just wanted to speak more about things happening more recently, seemingly to be all over the place in the dream world, and bodily sensations. You know, you feel little eggs, I call it oval eggs of energy, moving within your body, fluttering about. You know, you have to consciously breathe and relax into it and let it do what it do. Because you know that it is doing something internally. It is reworking us from the inside. And here more recently, head sensations, fluttering, occasional sharp pains that come and go. And then you drink more water, you go back into meditation and relaxation, and you do all you can to accommodate those energies, knowing now that we are monstrous soul, chaos beings, you know, something that's not even human. And so we want to create space for that, so that whatever is to become of us can go ahead and happen, and we can break free of this entrapment that we're in. I'm sure that you feel it. If you don't, you know, I can't explain that either. But I know that I feel it, and I know that I'm ready for something more amazing to happen. Okay? That's about it for today. Thank you again for being here. I am Dr. Damien Quentin Laster, a.k.a. Kabir Amin Ra, Anpu Asar Set Harakti, the Conscious Dr. Rainbow Warrior. Metaphysical science, busting up bogus HIV worldwide, healing the sacral chakra. I love you so much. To